I'm Joseph Brooks, and this is Lawyer in the Kitchen. Welcome to Lawyer in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make beef Wellington. Beef Wellington is a beef tenderloin covered with a puff pastry, which I think I called it a paste puffery, but that's not what it is. It's a paste puffery. Once you say it wrong, you just never get it right. Anyhow, it's covered with that. It's got a duxelle, which is a ground up mushroom that's been flambéed and with some brandy and some shallots and garlic and fresh thyme. And then it's wrapped up, it's mustard put on it, it's wrapped up with this prosciutto layer, and then it's rolled up. We're gonna put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes so it gets a nice round look to it, and then we're gonna cover it with the, I'll say this right if I look at it, puff pastry. And the interesting part about this dish is it is believed that this was named a very royal kind of dish based after the Duke of Wellington. And the Duke of Wellington, for those of you who remember this from history class, is the Englishman who beat the Frenchman at Waterloo, and of course that was Napoleon. In fact, Beethoven wrote a piece, Victory to Wellington's Victory March. And so this has a lot of history, a lot of heritage, and it ought to, because the darn thing's awfully expensive. This is just choice, and this was ridiculous. If you can get prime, of course that is a little bit better. But we're not gonna use all of this for this dish tonight. We're gonna cut about this much of it. We're gonna tie it up, and then we're gonna start preparing it. All right, so now we're gonna put this in a skillet and brown it all over a couple, 3 minutes, and then we'll be ready to use the drippings from that, or the fond from that browning, to start the mushrooms. We'll cook the mushrooms after we get them all ground up. I'm using a fine sea salt. It's got the minerals in it because I think it's better. And just regular fresh ground pepper. On the top, we're going to use coarse sea salt. And that's going to be for nothing else but appearance, really. As soon as our pan starts to get hot, we're going to turn it down so we don't burn it. All right, we've got it browned nice enough. We're going to take it out of the pan, and we're going to let it rest. Okay, so in the blender, we have mushrooms, garlic, shallots, and some fresh thyme. We're going to grind this all up, and then we're going to put it in the frying pan. It's mostly the shallot that didn't, so let that be a lesson. Cut your shallots up a little bit more than I did. All right, so while you were off camera, we actually put the mixture back in. That's my grandson, by the way. We put the mixture back in the blender after we started cooking a little bit, and look at it now. Now it looks right. And just so you know, this duxelle, this is a mushroom mixture. But this dish also comes to use foie gras, but I don't like raw goose liver, so, and a lot of people don't. So this is probably made this way more often. All right, so we're getting ready to do this. This is going to add some nice flavor. It'll catch on fire. There we go. Not much of a flame here today. That alcohol will burn off and the flavor will be left. You know, this is the same cut of meat that's filet mignon. It's just that we cut like this. Maybe have some bacon wrapped around it. So it's a very, very nice cut of meat. All right, so we're gonna use some Grey Poupon or any other Dijon mustard you like. All right. So we're really gonna put a decent amount on here. Yeah, this will make it a lot more interesting if we put the string on. It's time to take that off.
It would be like beef Wellington surprise.
Beef Wellington surprise. Yeah! And it would be a surprise that nobody wants. So we've laid out some plastic wrap, and I've got it laying next to the meat so I can see approximately where it goes so that the distances work out. And the size of this will be a rectangle with overlapping prosciutto. And we won't add much salt to this because prosciutto is very salty. But we will put a little pepper for sure. I like it when they're wrapped like this. Sometimes you get them in the bag and they don't have spacers between them to keep them separated. And this is much better. I don't know what this is called, but it's handy for moving things. And this is great.
Isn't that a dough cutter?
You know, it is a dough cutter, but some people call it a scraper, and some people call it a transfer or something. I mean, it specifically is a dough cutter. You want it to cover the whole thing. And it may take a little bit more. I'm not gonna waste this. This is probably as good as any box cutter for plastic wrap. This is a really large piece of meat. So we're doing that. This will be the top. We just won't have the prosciutto all the way around. And it would have been nicer to do that. That's actually the proper way to do it. All right, so we're gonna put this in the fridge for 30 minutes or so, and that'll help keep that form. In the meantime, Mrs. Brooks will get the puff pastry ready, and then we'll put that on. The oven will be at 400. We're going to cook it about 40 minutes at 400 to an internal temperature of about 125. There we go. All right. That's not too bad from where we started. Okay, so now we are going to put a wash to put this together. So we're going to do this. And then we're going to seal this up. Okay, 40 minutes, about 40 minutes, we'll check the temperature. All right, so we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna see what we have. Our crust is a little thin. And there you have it, folks. Beef Wellington with gravy and some potatoes. So miraculously, a few things have changed here at the very end of this. One, new flowers, different shirt, new peppermill, I'm very happy with, and a beef Wellington that is smaller and was a little easier to work with, and we had enough puff pastry, I'll finally get that word right, and we put this in the oven and we're ready to cut this open right now and see how she looks. Cooked a little more than the other one, but this is, I'm happy with it. So it's important not to have too big a piece of meat because it's tough to get the puff pastry to be, you know, big enough to cover it up. So make it small enough. And this ended up working out pretty nicely, and I'm happy with this. And I'd like to say thanks for coming by. This one's better. We'll see you next time.